welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us in the wild landscape of Scotland. And today we've come to Lintrathen Loch Reservoir Nature Reserve here, which is a pretty cool area in the wild landscape of Scotland. Today we're joined by Highlander 87 for this adventure, and today we're about to document what I believe used to be an old croft, a little farm croft that used to be located in these wild lands before the days of Lintrathen Loch, because that's actually a dam which is a freshwater reservoir for the freshwater supply to Angus towns and Dundee, and it's actually linked with Backwater Dam and other such like places in the area that we've documented on the channel. But often you cannot get to this remains of the croft because the water of Lintrathen Loch is so high. So this is like one of these opportunities we're taking while the waters are low. We'll document this ancient history, probably like a little croft or a cottage dating back to ancient times here in the lands of Scotland. So let's get into action, folks, and see where this adventure takes us. So in the path here, it's just taking a 90-degree turn over this bridge, folks, but I reckon that track we were coming in on actually continues along, and that would have been the original road that took you to the little croft at the far end that we're about to go to see, hopefully in today's video. Obviously the landscape's changed so much since that ancient time when the croft, cottage and stuff was in position. Obviously the fields would have been in the area which is now underwater, because originally at the ancient time the Lintrathen Loch was built, but then in the early 1900s it was actually made higher for even more water, so the water levels rose up once again, deleting more of the history. But with these videos it's cool to come and see what's left from that ancient time before it is gone forever in the land. And so far we've got a pretty decent path. We need to make our way out to the edge of the wild waters of Lintrathen Loch, and obviously we're here with respect of the wildlife and nature which is out here. There's a lot of geese here just now and stuff like that kicking about, folks, so yeah, it's a cool adventure. We've trained the bird watching. Check it out, folks, we're now in the natural habitat here of the geese, and we're heading over to this piece of land here. This mound here is the ancient croft, and you can see how even to this day it sits a little bit higher than the level of the water, but when Lintrathen Loch is full it actually covers this piece of land here that I'm standing on. You can see how big it is. It's way around that side, all the way around this side here. Normally this is all underwater, so that's how we are taking this opportunity, folks. You know how it is, documenting history that's hardly seen and hardly documented, and even this wildlife, the amount of geese kicking about. Wow, we kind of need to go into those trees, I think, at some point. This is almost like an island that we're able to walk to. This is absolute paradise here, folks. Look at this view up Lintrathen Loch. Now we're coming around this corner, we get an idea of like how big the loch really is when you can see it like this. The old overflows over at that side, and that's the dam wall that was put in the early 1900s. I think we need to try and go in pretty much to this trees somehow. It looks so overgrown at the other side. I reckon there'll be a way in probably at this side. This looks no bad, but I'm not sure once we get further in. I'll have a wee look in here, folks. This is how we operate, folks. It's spontaneous adventures. Like, we don't even know what route we're going to go often until we're heading in. Wow, and I remember it was like 5 years ago I walked past this place, and it was before I was even looking for ancient abandoned history. I saw this. That was how I knew it was here. Wow, see, normally the waters are right up at this height even, and we're still not within the compounds of this old structure. Wow, this is so cool, folks. It's like hardly seen land, like, considering how wild it is. All the trees are falling at different directions. Whoa, my bag's totally getting caught on them. See, I'm not even seeing the building remains yet within this forest. It must be further around here. Look at this, folks, we've located the old property here within the forest. This is absolutely mad. Just think that old path that we walked in would have been the old track, the old road. And just think how different the land originally looked before this water was right to the edge of this cottage. Wow, it's so special coming to these places that I've never documented before, seeing what's left of the history. Often it's amazing just getting an idea of what went on at a certain time by the clues that's left. And you can see the tree sitting on this structure, and that's how nature can often damage these places more and more each year. The history almost gets deleted. Wow, yeah, this has been a wee building for sure. And it's so cool that it's here. Look, there's quite a lot of the walls left. Maybe a little cottage. See, it doesn't even look like that old. It looks almost like 1800s, but that would make sense. Because when they rose up the dam height in the early 1900s, that would be when this was abandoned. Look at that, you can see where the wood used to get put in there for the lath to get put over the top. Quite often, on the old walls back at that time. And like I say, we've never seen this before on the channel, and I remembered it was here and I thought, we'll have to come before the water level rises, which will be very soon, I'm sure. Kenning how the weather normally is in Scotland, these lochs fill up in the winter. Check that out there, the bit of the wall that's left. And look, you can tell how long it's been abandoned for the size of the trees growing within it. Wow, I just love to see it, folks. Old walls, the wild lands that's hidden within. From here today we can just hear the noise of the geese making their call. Thousands of them, which call these waters home at a certain time of year. Away to fly south for the winter. These ones are Canadian geese that kick about in this area here. Check this out here, folks. Now I need to try and make my way over this rubble, parts of which would have most likely been bits of this old house. Yeah, it's hardly known. Like, I've never even heard anybody speak about this house, and I think it's because it's so far out of the way into this kind of like watery shoreline. You can see the height that the water normally comes here by this white line, and then it's incredible because look, it's right to the foundation of this house. And just think what other buildings may have been abandoned and again destroyed by the water itself over the years. And it's similar to what we saw recently when we explored the backwater dam area and discussed the history around that. When these places are constructed, there's often these wee houses or buildings that are just no longer needed and they're abandoned, and it's cool with these videos to document them before they are gone forever, like I've said already on this video. And look how this tree here has just been hitting the wall. Every year it falls down a wee bit more till gradually it's just a pile of stones. Oh, that's been so cool though to come here and see it. I'm wanting to go down here now and see what else remains. Look at that, the way it's worn. This is such a nice peaceful spot out here, folks, out beside the water on this almost beach-like area. But an interesting detail as you walk around here, look, you can see here the old stones which were laid maybe for a wall. But how interesting is that? You can see the ancient history here which had led on all the way down, and you can follow this line right into the water. And this for sure would have been an ancient foundation to a boundary wall related to this little croft house. And at this time of year, that's how it's so cool to come. All this would normally go unseen. And I'm going to send the drone up. You'll get the drone shots at the end of the video, but I'll have a look in the water maybe to see if we can see more remains maybe sticking up in this area. It looks like it gets super deep just a short way into there. Yeah, this is amazing to see it. Look at it, the straight line leading out. Before we leave the site, I'll take a look at that side to see if there's another maybe like boundary marker. Wow, this is brilliant, folks. Highlander 87's got his drone out as well today, and you can check out his channel if you want to see more history of Scotland from the air. Yeah, there's another line of stones leading out this way. And it is interesting to see it. Sometimes the flow of the water or the current can actually be the thing which shapes the stones, but also lines like this are actually old dry stone dike lines which have been under the water for so long the current knocks them down, and you can actually see the old outline of the dry stone dikes. Other areas here, there could be pipes or anything under the ground. Look at this, you see this is like an old track. Look at the big stones here leading in with the dikes at each side. Maybe an old road. If you imagine the wee croft there, you would have come round the edge of that field and then down this little track. And I'm not sure how deep this hole here was. There was maybe a wee loch, a natural loch in the land, or it may have just been rivers or streams flowing over. But I believe this is actually an old track leading down here. It is cool coming to a place like this, and often once you explore you can start to paint a picture of what was there, and it's so interesting. And then you can imagine the sort of people that may have been kicking about. Maybe a croft on these lands from the ancient days of like the 1400's and before it. Maybe even older times. And it would have been changed and developed with the latest of technologies until the 1800's, when they probably got a letter or somebody knocked at their door saying that they would have to leave their house, or they would have gotten bought out most likely. Look at that, an old piece of clay. Maybe one of the old pipes for the house or from the croft. And this is an interesting little outcrop here. It's like a little side pool. And we've got more geese up here, flocks of geese. So this is super interesting, folks. You can see the line of stones leading towards the little cottage there, the wee house. And then look, you can see another line which leads right out this way. And I reckon a lot of this land's maybe been washed away by the water. So what we are seeing is just the stones from that time period. But often with a wee croft like that, you would have had a lot of outside buildings and sheds. And I think some of these piles that we can see here are the old remnants of that. You can clearly see here how that's like a built wall, like the big rectangle. And then that leads right down in line with this strong looking construction at this side as well. Another interesting thing, these old crofts often had a waterway or a lade, sometimes even a water wheel already. Look at this, see, look at the markings here. This has been built like a proper floor. Look, you can see it here. Imagine walking in that direction. But also here, it's all built. And that's amazing because I've not seen that level of this history ever in my life. And I just love seeing it and visualising what was there from an ancient time. And yeah, there's been more walls here. These are all remains of the original walls. I can hear the geese once again flying, making their call in the distance. Look at this here though, this is so interesting. Look at the size of these stones, and look, it's built in a square. So you can clearly see this structure here. This has been the front wall. And it actually looks like this could have been the edge of the croft or the settlement, because you can clearly see the difference in the stones beyond that point. All this is almost like the remains of the croft that's been washed and levelled for so many years. It's only the floor stones that we can see now, whereas at one time there may have been roofs with slates on them like this. Now we can just see the outer stones of the wall. And then to see this, it is mad to imagine what it originally was for. It's almost like big lintel stones. These ones have been here, and then this one's been laid on the top. Oh, let's get it from a different perspective. Yeah, look, you can clearly see it here, folks. Look at this. For history, lost to Lintrathen Loch. Right there, that's an amazing scene. Wow, it's like a little doorway, or it's been something to do with that. And I believe this has been the edge of the site. I'll take a step back. The shadow's at a poor angle here with the autumn sunshine. The sun always stays quite low in the sky here in Scotland at this time of year. Yeah, look, you can see it from here. The edge of the croft settlement has led right around here, and the stones lead right around where the trees are nowadays. And that is so cool to see. I've loved coming around here. I thought it was just going to be the remains of the wall, but there was so much more of the wall that I had no idea even existed. And then to find this as well, with a cool doorway or whatever it is, still sitting as it would have. It's a shame because that lintel there, which is slightly further back, that's been washed out, and the conditions up here in Scotland can be extreme. So yeah, it's a miracle that all this is standing, but year upon year the history will become less visible in a place like this. Buildings like this, you could hardly tell what was there, and Eventually you wouldn't even be able to tell a croft was here on Lintrathen Loch if you didn't see stuff like this. Look at that, the way the wall leads out. History proper gone and almost deleted. Walking over floors which were on ancient buildings. Yeah, this is so cool. Yeah, because a minute ago I noticed that, which I thought was like a walkway within a shed. Look, here's another one. You can see the line of stones there, and then this line of stones here. And for sure, this has been another building. And look at this here. This is an ancient doorstep from one of the buildings. And look, you can tell, because see how worn it is? That's what all farm croft doorsteps used to be like. Back in the olden days, you used to get those boots that had the steel studs in the bottom of them. And often that wore the farm doorstep super quick. It shows that's an ancient doorstep worn like that. Wow, there's so much more once you start looking a bit closer. Check that out, a big piece of cast iron with a hole in it. Wow, maybe a bit of an old fire or a boiler. Because look, there's a heap of cast iron. Oh, there's a bit of clay. Loads of history here of this croft. And yeah, it's almost just forgotten, folks. Look at the other line here from the side of this building. There was probably a pathway through between. So that was incredible, folks. I just got some aerial shots. This was the first clue that gave it away when I was thinking there would be more over there, and I'm glad I walked over there. But an interesting thing, in the water there, it's like there's some sort of green contaminant. You'll see it in the drone footage at the end of the video. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but it looks like it's highly focused in that one area. It's almost like a green liquidy kind of stuff. And yeah, I just thought I would head back in one last time to check out this cottage before we leave the site. And just think, all these stones here would have been the main stones of the house wall. And it is just sad to see often how a property or a building like that can completely go missing off the land after hundreds of years. And yeah, this video here is to keep the story of the history alive. And it's interesting just to see that aerial footage as well. Stay tuned for that at the end of the video. Aerial footage looking down on this place. Or looking down on the area that I could actually see. I couldn't see this because it was like under the trees. Yeah, look at that. It's now just the home to nature. At one time, the home to a little family. And look at this here. You can see the remains where there's been like a window. The stone here's finished. So there was probably a wee window looking out here. Maybe a farmhouse garden or more buildings. But I think this has been the main hub of the farm right here. And I've never seen before on the channel. I've never actually seen this documented on YouTube before, so it's cool to keep finding these places and filming them. And then look at this, the wee purple flower there. It's making its home now on this wall. And yeah, wow, what a scene of history once again on the channel. Now we need to head back out of this madness. Yeah, obviously I'm going, but I just mean like through the next bit of forest and stuff. Yeah, look at the fine cut stone that still lies within the lands around here. Every year it gets washed away more and more. In some years the water can get higher than others, but I think this is the highest obviously it can get because of the overflow height. And that just shows how high it comes into the land, the mark at that whiteness. So look at this, folks, we'll follow this track around and we'll have a look around the back of this little mound of ground and see if there's any more history at the opposite side as to where we walked in. I reckon all these stones are remains of old sheds and buildings, because you can still see the fine construction of them. If you look along the straight lines, once you get a bit closer, they start to show easier. And there's just been so many different buildings, and probably if you were able to come here in the winter you would see a lot more because it wouldn't be as overgrown, but then at that time of year the water's too high. And I can hear a boy in a motorboat. Somebody's just flying about right there on a boat, like I can hear the engine ripping. Yeah, he's been going the whole time. The whole time we've been kicking about here, I've heard that engine just ripping on. It's like the boat's just sitting where it is and he's like flat out.
fighting the current.
Yeah, wow. Look at this here, eh? All these little mounds of stone and stuff like that. What has it been? Look, it's almost like there's a wee path in here. Let's go for a look, see what's here. So maybe being a wee camp spot or a hangout area at a certain time in some of the summers. I'm just making sure there's no remains of any more buildings here. Wow, yeah, look, somebody has been hanging out here. There's like a wee camp spot. And they probably didn't even realise they were in a historic site of an ancient farm croft. Yeah, there's no other signs of buildings though further through here. Anyway, let's keep going, folks. Action after action on this channel. Look at this, folks. These grass plains here are the home to all the geese normally, like we saw, but they got frightened away when we were round at the far side of there, so I hadn't scared the geese away. So now it just looks like some mad grassy parkland. And seeing it today, you wouldn't even realise that it's normally underwater like 9 months of the year. And then there is an interesting bit here. There's a few like bird hides and stuff. You can actually come to this spot and do some bird watching with your binos. And there's a few bird hides, I think, around the whole side of this place. Like, so there's probably like 3 or 4 bird hides. Oh, look, Channel DJ, I should say Highlander 87 there, he's actually spotted evidence of beavers. And check it out. Wow. They've been chatting away at the tree there. They've got some sharp teeth. And yeah, look at this place. Look at the size of this tree, right, folks. It's been uprooted in a mad storm, and we had some crazy storms last year. And that's still the evidence of it we can see here. And then this is one of the bird huts, check it out. Look at this mad old beech tree here at the side of the path. There's some crazy fungus on it, but it looks like it's fairly rotten, and that big branch has snapped off. But it's crazy because the branch is actually grown into the tree, and the tree's got like a circle on it. Like a loop. Anyway, we're heading on. This was a little side path. As we were walking past, I just had to go and take a look at that tree, folks. And then to our left, through those thick bushy trees in the overgrown area, that's where the original road to that wee farm croft used to go. And you have to imagine the sound of the horse and cart trundling out there as the farmer was doing his daily chores or delivering stuff, maybe to a local market. And yeah, it's such a different time back then, it's such a different culture. The landscape's changed so much, but so has probably the people living within it. And then the wee historical nuggets just hidden within such crazy places. I just love to see it. So check it out, folks, we're actually back to the car now, and that was so interesting to see that piece of history today. I almost forgot to do an outro there when we got back to the car. That's why I've already got the coat off and stuff, and Highlander 87's already waiting in the car. Check his channel out for more drone footage of Scotland and some other angles of the places we visit. And I'm going to include my drone footage at the end of this video as well, to get another angle of that history and to remember that ancient farm croft hidden in the wildlands, and just think this would have been the old track, the old road leading down to that structure. And it's the first time we've ever documented it on the channel, so that's special. Anyway, I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next adventure, wherever we end up going. you.